Welkom bij les 7. Welcome to lesson 7. Now, bij, we talked about before, means near or by. But in this case, it actually means the same as welcome to something. So, welkom bij les 7. Welcome to lesson 7. Today, we're going to count much higher than 10. And we're going to talk about how old you are and how to ask someone how old they are. Hoe oud ben jij? Hoe oud ben jij? You can also say, hoe oud ben je? If we want to be more polite, we say, hoe oud bent u? Remember, the ben will get a T in this case. Hoe oud bent u? For how old are you? Remember before we talked about the word hij, meaning he. So if you wanted to ask, how old is he? You would say, hoe oud is hij? Hoe oud is hij? The same thing with she. We just changed this to zij. And now it's, how old is she? Hoe oud is zij? Now, let's learn some more numbers. Elf. Elf, which means 11. 12. 12. You can also say 12, almost like there's an extra vowel in between the L and the F. 12. 13. 13. 14. 14. This is not like the word vier because it's a double E here. The R makes it a little longer, not vier, but not veer either. 14. From 15 to 19 is pretty easy. You just take the number plus 10 and put them together. So 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Pretty simple. The rest of the numbers from here on out are pretty easy to remember. It follows the same pattern. Here we see 20, 20. The IG here is pronounced like an sound, like a UH. But remember the G is pronounced with that little bit of a coarse sound. So 20. Most of the numbers from here on out have an IG ending. If I wanted to say 21, this is how I would say it. Now, this word looks kind of difficult, but it's actually 3 different words put together. And if I put some little lines here, you can see where they separate. This is een en 20. 1 and 20. If I wanted to say 22, then I would say 22. 22 for 2 and 20. Notice I also put a couple of dots over the top of that E right there. That's because we've got 2 E's here and then another E. So we need to know where the vowel sound starts. And we do that by putting these 2 little dots, called a diaeresis, on top of that E. So that way we know where this vowel sound ends and where this one begins. Because this is all one word and you're not going to see these separation bars in there all the time. 22 for 22. The same thing would apply to 23. 23. Notice here there's another vowel sound, the IE. So we need to make sure that we separate this vowel sound from this vowel sound. So the diaeresis needs to be here as well. We're going to go ahead and skip to 30 and on now, and we'll come back and do some more examples to make sure you got it. 30 is 30. 30. Just like 13, 30 also has a double E. 30. 50 is 50. 50. 60. 60. 70. 70. 80. 80. Notice there's a T on the front of this. This is how we do 80. 90. 90. So as you can see, except for 80, from 20 to 90, it's the same pattern. Now let's do some more examples to make sure you understand. Let's do 32. Remember, we're going to start with the last digit. So 2 N. Remember the diaeresis because we've got another vowel here before the N. And 30 is 30. Now, I spaced these out so you can see them a little better, but normally you would put this together as one word, and that's why we have the diaeresis there. 32. 32, meaning 32. Okay, how about 64? Wir. And there's no need for a diaeresis here because we don't end this one in a vowel sound. 60. There we go. 64. Like I said, this is all one word. So it really should look more like this. Vierenzestig. Now let's try 47. 7 and 40. Remember, this gets two E's and not an I and an E like the 4 does. So 47. Now let's try 88. You're going to like how this one sounds. 8 and 80. Remember the 80 for 80 starts with a T. Notice there's a CH, and a G. So you're going to have a lot of sound to practice on this one. And it's pronounced 88. 88. Now moving into the hundreds, this is pronounced 100. 100. You'll notice that we don't say 100. We just have 100. When we do 200 and on, we'll add the number plus the 100. So 200, 300, 400, etc. Now this is how I would say 123. 123. Really, the only thing new here is the 100. Okay, let's do 256. Notice how this is not two separate words? This is how we do it in Dutch. 200, and then we just add the 56. 256. 256. Here we go, an even higher number, 892. So 892. 892. 1000. 1000. This is how we say 1000. It actually follows the same pattern as the hundreds do. 1000 doesn't get a 1, but 2000 gets a 2, 3000 gets a 3, and so on and so forth. So this one's going to be a pretty big number on the board, but let's break it down slowly. 3,842. So 3,000, 3,000. Remember, this is going to be just like the hundreds, so 3,000 is one word, just like 300 would be one word. And then 800, same thing, make it all together as one word. and then 42. 2 and remember the diaresis because you got a vowel sound here. And 40 is going to have the two E's. And there we go. By now you've probably noticed that there's only one and it's right here. Instead of like we do it in English, which is 3,842. But in Dutch, we don't add an extra and there. We just have the and here, and that's it. So 3,842. 3,842. Now back to our first question. Hoe oud ben jij? How old are you? Well, in my case, I would answer it like this. Ik ben 41 jaar oud. I am 41 years old. Now you'll notice that there's no accent marks above the een, and that's because we know we're not talking about the word un, so in this case you don't have to have the accent marks there. Jaar actually means year and not years. Jaren, with an en, actually means the word years. But this is how the Dutch say, I am so many years old. And of course, oud is the word for old. And most of the time, the Dutch won't even say that word. They will just say, ik ben 41 jaar. Just like that. And how about you? Hoe oud ben jij? Hoe oud is de jongen? How old is the boy? I could say de jongen is, or we could say hij is. And let's say he's 10 years old. 10 jaar. Hij is 10 jaar. So how many new words did you learn today? Actually, you learned several thousand because we went all the way up into the thousands with our numbers, and they all follow the same pattern. So they're pretty easy to do. Next lesson is going to be all about telling time. Tot de volgende keer.